Hey everybody, we're here again with Kelly Cook for another episode of Selling Real Estate with Kelly Cook. How you doing today, Kelly?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm going to steal a line
Good.
from Dave Ramsey, Elizabeth, better than I deserve.
Well, good. I think that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, I love
All
it. I
right,
love it.
perfect. Okay, well, today we're gonna jump into our kind of second part of this kind of building blocks or pathway to success in a real estate career. Last time we talked about the very first step, which is mindset, getting into the correct mindset and kind of setting
Hmm.
yourself up with a routine that is going to help really is really the starting block of having a successful real estate career.
Yep.
Today, kind of the next step of that is how to maximize your CRM. Now, this coming as number two might be surprising to some people. Why is it that this is right after mindset? CRM is exactly the next step you really need to focus on. Why is that?
Yep. No, it's a great question. And I don't think people give enough credence or spend enough time or thought to that question you just asked. It is the only, all right, Elizabeth, the only sellable asset that you have with this business. We are not creating or selling widgets here, right? We don't have inventory in a warehouse that we can tangibly touch and feel and send out to a client or sell. We are selling our professional service, and that has to be done in a manner in which you get customers that repeat and referrals and long-term success. So before we go any further, this is number two because like you said, it's the most important tool that you're going to have in your business. It's the only thing you have to possibly sell at some point in the future if you ever choose to leave the business or leave the industry at some point, or maybe this one thing called retirement. Maybe you want to do that one day, right? I think
Who
most of us
wants to
do.
do that?
Who wants to do that? Yeah, I don't know, right? Right. So that being said, we want to talk about it here as like the second foundational building block, if you will, of a business, right? We're doing this 5-part series to really kick off the start of building a business in real estate, and the CRM is number two. So there's an old saying, I'm going to repeat myself here. Everyone's probably heard this, but the best CRM you could have is the one that you actually use, right? You
That
actually use
makes
it.
sense.
And seriously, so if you have a spreadsheet and you're using it, I mean, you're doing better than probably 70-80% of most agents in the industry right there, okay? That being said, I don't recommend a spreadsheet because you can't scale a spreadsheet, unfortunately,
Hmm.
right? It's very limited in what you want to do. So a couple things you want to look for in a CRM, all right? Now, we happen to use Sync here at our real estate team. It's shortened for Commission Sync from way back when because they've been around for quite some time. And it's a full functioning part or aspect or tool that we can use from beginning to end, okay? You want one middle hub with the spokes of all your businesses, and that CRM is your hub. That's why it's so foundational, Elizabeth, okay? So foundational. So you have to have one that has the correct functions to be able to start at the inception of capturing a lead, okay? Running all the way through from A to Z to the very end where they close escrow, okay? And I would even argue Z is not closing escrow. Z is the continuation of Z, kind of like you're sleeping, right? All those
Hmm.
Z's, right? The continuation of staying in touch with your client
It should
and your
never be
clients.
a definite endpoint with a
There's no
client, right?
correct. It's infinite. It's
Hmm.
infinite. That's right. That's right. So, but yeah, I'm rambling here a little bit, but this is a very, very important piece. And so I'll let you ask any more questions you have at this point. But the key is, guys, is to get a CRM. There's some great ones out there. I mean, there's Sync, there's Boomtown, there's Brivity, there's Firepoint, and I mean, heck, even Top Producer, which has been around for years and years, is still viable. It now doesn't have the front-facing consumer lead capture form and all the IDX aspects, but still very good for the back end. So maybe we can talk about that for a minute, the different types of what they do.
Right. That's kind of what I would question is how do you know what CRM is right for you, or um, how do you kind of decipher what you do need as a real estate agent? What are going to be the most important, aspects of any CRM?
Okay, good question. So I think I would say number one, you have to determine what's going to be your main lead sources. Okay. Now some people say, Kelly, all I do is I work my sphere of influence, my past clients, people that I know, they know, like, and trust me, that kind of stuff. And that's awesome. That's great. But you can't scale that. Okay. There's I can't think of the guy's name right now, but there's a scientist in the UK that came up with a principle or a law, right? That basically states That's going to come to me here as soon as we get off this podcast. I know it, but it basically states that the human brain really cannot go deep enough in relationship with more than 150 people at any given time. So if all you're going to do is work that, which by the way, if you could do that at a really high level for 150 people, that's a big business. Don't kid yourself. It's a big business. Okay. But a lot of people won't go that deep with that many people.
Right.
And even if you could, it's not scalable. Okay. So, but if you were just going to work that because you just want to do a few deals a year and that kind of thing and not grow, then, and that's going to be your only lead source, you're not going to buy leads or anything of that nature, then you're probably fine with a top producer or a lion desk or something that's cheaper between 30 and 40 bucks a month, something like that, that will just help you stay in front of and do certain mailing campaigns or emailing campaigns to those people. Okay. However, if you want to grow, you want to go basically talk to people and meet people that you quote unquote haven't met, right? And strangers, right, if you will, and bring them into your world through different offerings that you have and so on and so forth. You need to seriously consider having a front end solution, okay? Because the back end and the front end. Front end is consumer search, okay? It's the predictable analytics that once someone gets onto your website, they like staying there. Your website is sticky. That's the word you use, right? Sticky, to retain them on the site, time on site. And then you can actually watch and see what they're doing on their profile at any given time. You can see how many homes or properties they favorited, which ones. You can see which ones they like. You can see if they liked one house or they actually viewed one house 5 times, 4 times, 20 times. It actually will tell you all of those analytics, which then you can use to be at the right time to reach out to them and say, I'd love to help you out. This property looks great. And I've seen you've actually looked at it several times. When would be a good time to take a look at that property? I'm available on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or whatever, right? Whatever your script is. That's a whole other podcast or scripting. However, Elizabeth, if you are looking to have a full encompassing CRM because you want to buy leads, right, and meet with strangers, people you don't know, and bring them into your world, it's very smart to have one CRM that has that front-facing consumer website experience, that consumer search experience, so they can come into your website, you can see what they're doing, you have the back-end analytics right there, all connected in one login, okay? Because the last thing you really want is to have your agents have to log into 13 different places just to get data for one lead, all right? So I would highly recommend having a CRM. Now, they're usually a little more pricey, okay? But they're totally worth it, especially if your goal is to, again, to build a business, right? Foundational blocks to build a long, sustainable business. Make sense?
Yeah, and of course that you do actually use it. Don't spend all that money and
Please.
think that you're gonna use it, but commit yourself to actually to utilizing that CRM, right?
That's right. Exactly right. That's very, very important. And we can talk about different ways to segment your lead, your CRM too, and other different principles.
Yeah. I'd love to know kind of the principles of how you would organize it and kind of what are the best ways. So we know, number one, of course, use it and make sure that you're using one that is going to really be able to reach how you want to reach or get those people that you want to get that will work for you. But what are some other things, basic principles to keep in mind while you're utilizing your CRM?
Yeah. Okay. So if you do nothing more, like ours is way more detailed than this, right? We have what we call the rules of our ecosystem, right? We have an ecosystem built out through our entire CRM that basically puts down the rules or laws, right, if you will, of how you follow up with specific types of leads. Okay. So a lead that's going to look to buy a house in maybe 30 days because they're ready to go now because they have to relocate is going to be treated differently than a lead that needs to buy a house in 12 to 18 months, right? You can't follow up, or you should not follow up with that lead the same way. You're not maximizing your opportunity to convert that lead. So that being said, segmenting your leads, okay? Segmenting your database, okay, is extremely important. All leads and contacts are not created equal, period, right? And as soon as you figure that out, the sooner you'll make more money and be more happier and a lot more longer-term sustainable business. So if you did nothing more but this, go in there tonight or today in your CRM and you tag or label all of your people A, B, or C. All right. Now ours is way more complicated than that, but that's the best thing.
Basic start.
And here's what you do. And we're talking basically past client sphere of influence, okay? And heck, your leads too, your active leads. And your C's are people that you can't get a hold of. They've gone dead. You tried very hard to get a hold of them, and they just aren't responding. Your Bs are people you've talked to at some point, maybe a couple times, but there's no time frame. You don't know when they're going to act. They're very non-committal. And your A's are people that you know when they're going to act, or they're raving fans. And if you want to go one step further, make an A+ tag, which is a fourth tag or fourth label. And the A+ people are not just people that are going to act. They're hot maybe 30 days, but they're your past clients potentially too, who love you. They know you.
They're going to
They trust
refer
you.
you.
Refer you, exactly. That's huge. Okay, that's huge. So, but again, what you want to do is sketch out a flow chart, an ecosystem of what it looks like from the time a stranger comes into your world, your CRM, and what you need to do, how many contacts you need to make, what type of contacts will they be, text, video text, phone call, all these things, right? Email. And then at what point do you move them to a different category because they A, responded and now they're hot, or didn't respond at all, or B, just responded one time or two times but then got cold, right? There's all these things you got to think about to then, I got on a whiteboard years ago, Elizabeth, and I just literally started sketching this out, okay?
Flow chart.
Flow chart. And then I made rules around that, right? And so we called our ecosystem, our back-end ecosystem, and we call it the rules of our ecosystem. And if you follow them to a T, your conversion rate will literally go, a point or 2 percentage points higher than where it should be just by simply following the consistency of that system. I know it's
And not
boring.
treating every client the same because, right, it's exactly, if you just have all of your clients in one spreadsheet or whatever it is, and you are sending the same messaging to all of those, it's just not going to be nearly as effective as when you break it down.
That's right.
Perfect.
That's exactly right. Segmentation. That's the number one thing you can do. And let me tell you, that'll take you some time just to do that, right? So if you do nothing more, segment your database today. Do it.
Right now.
Right now. Don't delay.
Yes. Number one thing. Well, and get a CRM if you don't already have one, of course.
True. Absolutely. And they can reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to them more about ours. Shoot, if the thing about is if you have the same CRM as somebody else that you're masterminding with or that you're coaching with, whatever, right? Then it's even that much easier, right? Because you're already speaking the same language. Because all these CRMs have different languages.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, perfect. Is there anything else that you want to say about CRMs and kind of any other tips that you have? Or, how can people, if they are looking to really maximize their CRM and maybe build their own ecosystem like yours, where can they reach out to you, or how can they kind of learn that a little bit more from you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say number one, before I get to that point, number one, utilize technology. Okay. Obviously the world of real estate is going to technology, right? But utilize it. Every CRM should have a good amount of technology with it that comes with it that allows you to automate part of your processes. For example, your C leads, that example of ABC, your C leads, they should not have any of your time be spent or taken up working them, not your time. Your time is too valuable, right? As an agent, you should be spending your time on the A+, obviously, then your A's, and then your B's, trying to revive them. But your C people that are still in your database, don't give up on them. Okay, utilize technology, leverage technology, the CRM, with automated text, property searches, and some email. Not much, but some, because you don't want them to unsubscribe. Okay, let that do the heavy lifting for you to try to revitalize the C people. Okay, so you don't even know where to start to revitalize these people and have that technology be leveraged on your behalf if you don't even have them segmented to begin with, right? So that's where it starts, right? So that's the one tip I'll give you. And then this is a whole other podcast that we will do in the future, Elizabeth, I promise you. But because I get a lot of requests for this one, past clients and how you touch them, kind of like your spear and gear, right? How you touch them and the meaningful touches and what you do and consistency there. But if anything, just call your past clients today. Say hi. I'm just thinking of you, right? Do that.
It's wrapping back around to it's never ending. You're not going from point A to point Z, right?
There you go.
You're keeping them in.
That circle, it doesn't have any breaks in it. Yep, that's right. It's one big circle and a circle is continuous. Last but not least, then to reach me, if you want to ask me more questions about this topic, you can always reach us at our office here at 480-442-9868 or via email at info@kellycookhomes.com.
Perfect. Well, next week we will be talking about our third part and really getting into that. And
I'm excited.
All right. And so next week we talked about kind of how to set up your CRM. And next we're going to be talking about how your database is your piggy bank. So we talked about how to set it up, how to
Ping, ping,
utilize
ping,
it.
ping. Yep.
Now, how are you making money off of it, right?
Absolutely. That's it.
Awesome.
Remember back when we were kids, we all had piggy banks, and man, just think of like obviously now digital money. And so, oh, absolutely. Piggy
Can't
bank,
wait.
that's your database. Can't wait. I'm excited. You're excited.
I'm excited. I want to know how
3
to
more
make
weeks of
money
this.
off of it. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Elizabeth.